Mountain is water, and water is mountain. In the Heart Sutra we just recited, it says, form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. This is that point. This is a fundamental Buddhist teaching, which means everything is changing, changing, changing. Buddha said impermanence. This world is impermanence. No form, no emptiness, which means no mountain, no water. So, if we're thinking, if we attach to outside, changing, attach to form, everything's changing, then we get suffering. But if we cut off all thinking, then there's no form and no emptiness, which means no suffering, which means no I, no you. In this place, there's no mountain and no water. Descartes, the famous French philosopher, said, I think, therefore I am. But if I'm not thinking, then what? This point. Mountain is mountain, water is water. This means form is form and emptiness is emptiness. Everything is just as it is. So, of these three statements, mountain is water, water is mountain, no mountain, no water, mountain is mountain, water is water. Of these three statements, which one is correct? Which one is the truth? Mountain is high and water is flowing. So that is the end of the Dharma speech. That is a special Korean Buddhist formula for Dharma speech. And today I, first of all, would like to thank you all very much for coming here. And especially like to thank BTN for having these talks every month. It's very, I can imagine it must be very difficult to organize these and to, especially to have different monks, nuns, and teachers from different places, especially all around the world, come and then try to match their schedules. And so I appreciate his flexibility very much. And especially I'd like to thank my teacher, who is Venerable Sungsan Zen Master, Sungsan Sunim, because today I am borrowing his Dharma and sharing it with all of you. So actually, Sungsan Sunim spent the last 30 or 40 years teaching all over the world and bringing this hidden treasure of Korean Buddhism to people all over the world, especially first in America and in Europe and all over Asia and Africa. So I owe him a great debt of gratitude. And today I'd like to speak a little bit about his lineage in Korea, which is our lineage, actually. Today I'd like to tell a few stories of Zen Master Manggong and his teacher, Zen Master Kyung-ho, who lived over 100 years ago. Especially if you, after the ceremony, if you walk out here and go up into the mountains behind this temple, that is Gyeryongsan. And there are many famous temples, as you know, in Gyeryongsan. One of them is called Donghaksa, which is especially famous. Nowadays, a lot of BTN or Buddhist nuns live there, and they study the sutras, Buddhist scriptures. It's always actually been a sutra temple. And it's interesting if we look at the shape of the mountains. I'm very interested in mountains. I was a geology major in college, and So I have some interest in geology and especially topography, and then as it relates in the Korean tradition to feng shui or pungsujiri. This Donghaksa location is interesting because there's one mountain which the temple is facing, and it's very high and steep, and it looks like the point of a brush, a calligraphy brush sticking up. It's called actually Munpilbong, or calligraphy brush mountain. And because that's there right in front of the temple's just facing that mountain, people who go to that temple naturally want to pick up a book and start reading. So that temple has always been a sutra study temple. Not too much Zen meditation practice, but sutras. So actually Kyungho Sunim, who I'm going to talk about, was a teacher there. First he was a student there, and then he was also a sutra teacher there at a very young age. He was famous because he was very unorthodox, and he was incredibly smart and learned the sutras really quickly. Normally in a sutra school, there's a very, very organized, correct, proper way of studying sutras. First, the monks put their changsam on and their kasa and sit properly and correctly. You all do that very well here. You've been taught very well by Chang'asanim and follow the rules very carefully, so you would be very good in these sutra schools. But Kyungho Sunim was not like that. Instead of sitting properly and reading sutra like this, he would lie down in the jidebang, which is kind of the little rest area room, and read a sutra like this. And some monks saw him doing that, and they were very upset, so they told the sutra master, and the sutra master got very angry. Kyungho, why are you reading the sutras like this? It's very disrespectful. And Kyungho Sunim said, oh no, teacher, I'm not disrespecting. If we read the sutras like this, then our breath and our saliva and everything can go all over the sutras, but I want to care for them properly, so I keep them over my head. So then what can the sutra master say? Okay. So anyways, Kyungho Sunim was like this. He was out of the normal thing. And I don't want to tell too detailed a story of him, but the story goes that he got a very big question traveling through some town where everybody had died of cholera. And suddenly he realized that he had been studying these Buddhist sutras which talk about life and death and what are human beings and impermanence and what is truth. He had been studying these sutras for many years, and still he was totally afraid of dying. And he didn't know where he was going when he died. And so he returned to this temple, Donghaksa, and sent all the monks away. He said, I cannot teach you anymore. Go away. And he closed himself in a room, and just one attendant would pass food through the door every day, and he was just sitting there keeping this big question. What is life? What is death? Only don't know. And in order so he could stay alert and awake, when he started falling asleep, he would hit his thigh with a knife to wake up. So he did this for many, many months. And finally, hearing some speech, he got enlightenment and later became a famous Zen master. So I'm just giving you a little background to the story that I really want to tell you today. So Kyungho Sunim became this famous Zen teacher, and like I said, he was very unorthodox. Instead of being correct and cutting his hair and wearing correct clothes, he was actually a hippie monk. He was kind of a Nudegijung. And so he would go all around Korea, wandering around from temple to temple. That's unsu napja, like a cloud or water just flowing with no hindrance. And he was famous all over Korea. Well, many years passed, and this temple, Donghaksa, is still a sutra temple. Even today it's a sutra temple, then it's a sutra temple. It's very hard to change the karma of a temple. The temple takes on the character of the land that it's in, and then builds up a tradition. And it's very hard to change the karma of a temple. So this temple was still a sutra temple, and they had sutra classes twice a year for maybe 4 months or 5 months, and then there'd be a break, and then they'd come back and study again. So at that time there was a young monk studying at this temple. His name was Ryang Sunim. Actually, he had a different name before, but we'll just simplify and say Ryang Sunim. He was a young boy. Actually, his father brought him to the temple when he was young, and he was studying the sutra for a few years. And they came to the end of the semester, and it was time for summer break. And so there was a graduation ceremony for the monks who had finished the course. And the sutra master got up and gave a talk. And he said, "I hope you all study very hard and learn Buddhism and become like big trees, great trees, which are able to make a big temple, like these columns here. Or become like big bowls, paru, big bowls, which are able to contain a lot of Dharma to give to other people." And he said, in the sutras it says water becomes the shape of the container that it's put in. So if it's put in a round container, it becomes round. Put in a square container, it becomes square. So because of that, always keep good company. Think of the Buddha and always keep good company. So then you will always improve and improve. And be diligent and study hard. That was the end of his talk. Then he wanted to have some congratulatory talks. So at that time, Kyung-ho Sunim, this hippie monk, was there. And he said to Kyung-ho Sunim, please, Master, please give us a short congratulatory talk. And Kyung-ho Sunim said, no. He refused. But he asked again, no. So he asked a third time. And if you ask somebody 3 times to do something, they are obligated to do it. So Kyung-ho Sunim said, okay. So he got up there. And he was a very striking figure here because everybody in the sutra school was shaved head and correct clothes and looked very proper and like a monk. And then here was this hippie monk who had long hair, long beard, broken rags of clothes, and it was quite a contrast. So he got up and he said, "You are all monks. Your life is already for all people. So you don't have to worry about petty personal attachments or hindrances." He said, wanting to be a great tree or a big bowl is a hindrance. It will prevent you from becoming a real teacher. He said, rather than wanting to become a great tree, become like a very skilled carpenter who can use a great tree to make a pillar or build a temple, and can also use a small tree to make some very beautiful decoration. So great trees have great uses, small trees have small uses. Then he said, instead of becoming a great bowl to contain the Dharma, be like the water that flows into the bowl. It will take the shape of the container, and then finally it will flow out of that container and continue on its way. Water has no hindrance, just like Dharma. Dharma, the character in Chinese for Dharma is water plus go. Water flowing. So be like water. Going into a place, taking the shape of that container, and then flowing out. He said so keep good friends and keep bad friends. Don't reject anything. And then finally he said, my only hope for you is that you completely cut off discriminating thinking. And then he left. That was the end of his talk. And like a lot of monks, he just went right out the door and kept going. So everybody was very impressed. And Ryang Sunim heard this and also was impressed and ran out and followed him and said, Master, I want to be your student. And Kyung-ho Sunim shouted at him, go away. He said, no, I want to be your student. And Kyung-ho Sunim said, you're too young to study Buddhism. Man Gongsim said, people have young and old, but in Buddhism, is there youth or old age? Kyungho-sim said, you bad boy, you've killed and eaten the Buddha. Okay, come with me. So he took him with him, and Man Gongsim became his student. But Kyungho-sim's a hippie monk. He can't have a little young boy monk tagging along. So he took him to his Dharma brother's temple, which is near Sudoksa. It's called Chunjangam. And it's a small little temple, and he left him with his Dharma brother. So Man Gongsim stayed there for many years. Anyways, that story took place maybe 120 years ago or 130 years ago, a long time ago. And I thought I would tell you my own story meeting my teacher, which is somewhat similar, and it will show that in Dharma it's kind of timeless. Anyways, I was a student at Yale University, and I wanted to be a philosopher, among other things. So foolishly, I jumped right into existential philosophy, which I don't recommend to you. If you want to study philosophy, start at the beginning with Socrates and Plato and then work your way up. But I went into existential philosophy, and I read Sartre and Camus, and I was very struck that human life has no meaning, no reason, and no choice. And I became very unhappy. What is life? What am I? A lot of questions, a lot of thinking. So I looked around, and a friend suggested try yoga meditation, so I tried yoga meditation, and that was good. But still, I couldn't find what is truth, what is the meaning of love, what is the purpose of our life. And finally, I accidentally found a Zen center in New Haven, and went and went and heard a Dharma talk by this Korean Zen master, who happened to be Sunim. And he said in his Dharma talk, human beings have no meaning, no reason, and no choice. I thought, right, exactly. And then he said, but if you throw away I, my, me, throw away I, my, me, you get great meaning, great reason, and great choice. And I said, that's what I want. Then how? How to do that? So then he said, when you're doing something, just do it. When you're eating, just eat. When you're talking, just talk. When you're walking, just walk. When you're driving, just drive. When you're playing golf, just play golf. When you're working, just work. Only inside and outside become one. Then just do it. So that Dharma talk really hit my mind. Yeah, that's what I want. And then I became his student and moved into the Zen center shortly after that. So Seung-san Snim always asks people 3 questions. So I will ask them, and we can talk about them. The first question is, why do you eat every day? Why do you eat every day? That question is, why are you living in this world? Why do you eat every day? Means, why are you living in this world? What's the purpose of your life? For whom? There's a famous movie which is For Whom the Bell Tolls. And that is actually a line from a famous poem written by an Englishman, John Donne, which starts out, no man is an island unto himself. No person is an island unto himself. And finally, after many lines, it ends with, never ask for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. It tolls for you. So, why are we living in this world? For whom? Only for me? That's the first question. Why are we eating every day? Somebody maybe says, because I'm hungry. Yeah, that's true. But dog is hungry, cat is hungry, snake is hungry, pig is hungry. So how are human beings different from animals? Maybe not different at all, but maybe also different. Then, next question is, why is the sky blue? Why is the sky blue? Nowadays in Korea, it's a little bit hard to see blue sky. Maybe there's a lot of clouds in the sky, or maybe it's something else. In Los Angeles, where I lived, it's also very hard to see blue sky. But at Taekosa, where we live in the mountains, the sky is blue almost every day. In 1 year, over 300 days, it's a blue sky. So why is the sky blue? Everybody knows, oh, sky is blue. That means, what is truth? What is truth? Oh, sky is blue, that's truth. But why is the sky blue? So there's a story, there was a student of my teacher who lived in Paris. Let's call him Francois. And he practiced meditation. He also had a young daughter. At that time she was about 6, maybe 7 years old. And he would sit in his room at home and do meditation. And one day his daughter asked him, "Daddy, why do you practice meditation?" And he said, "I want to understand truth. I want to understand truth." So his daughter said, "Oh, do you understand truth?" And he said, "Of course." Then his daughter said, "Okay, then I have a question for you. Why is the sky blue?" Then he could not answer. He was really embarrassed and shocked and surprised. His daughter asked him this question, he could not answer. So he told that story to Seungsan Sunim. And Seungsan said, "Yeah, your daughter's better than you. More simple mind. The more thinking we have, the more stupid we are." So, why is the sky blue? Maybe some scientists can give us an answer. The sun shining and light rays coming down and hitting the molecules in the sky, and they reflect in a certain way, and blue color is what our eyes see. But that's only explanation. That's only explanation. Zen is not about explanation. Zen is about demonstration, attaining, experience. So, why is the sky blue? What is truth? Then the third question is, when does sugar become sweet? When does sugar become sweet? Which means, in our life, how do we live? Moment to moment to moment. How do we live? When does sugar become sweet? So those 3 questions. He would always ask his students those 3 questions. I was his secretary for a few years, and every letter he would write these 3 questions. Why do you eat every day? Why is the sky blue? When does sugar become sweet? So, many Western people heard this teaching and got a big question. That's wonderful. If you get a big question, then you've gotten a big treasure, big present from somebody. If somebody explains a lot of stuff and answers all your questions, that's really too bad. They took something from you. So, Korean Zen Buddhism is wonderful because it gives us this big question. What am I? What is this? What is truth? Thank you very much. So, back to our story. Kyung-ho S님 took Man-gong S님 to this temple, Cheonjang-am, and left him with his Dharma brother. So, about 5 years passed from when Kyung-ho S님 left him off. He was already maybe 18 or 19, and it was Buddha's birthday. Buddha's birthday is coming up, so everybody knows it's a very, very busy time for a temple. And the day of Buddha's birthday is the most busy time because many people come and ask for ceremony, offering to Buddha ceremony, bulgong. Especially in those days, people would have individual ceremony. So from early morning, dawn, before it became light, until after dark, Man-gong S님 was just chanting the whole day, doing ceremonies for people. And he was very tired and hungry. Finally, the last person left, he finished the ceremony, cleaned up everything on the altar and put it in his botari, or maybe bojegi, some kind of cloth, wrapped it up, and was going outside of the Dharma room, and suddenly there was a young boy in front of him. And this young boy says, Sunim, Sunim, can I ask you a question? And Manggong says, okay, no problem. He's very kind of young and confident, and anything's no problem to him. So this young boy said, Sunim, I heard 10,000 dharmas return to one. And Manggong said, of course. And the young boy said, but where does the one return? Well, Manggong couldn't answer. 10,000 dharmas return to one. Where does the one return? Nothing appeared in his mind. He had studied all sutras and learned all chanting, but sutras don't talk about where does the one return. So he got this big question. He was really embarrassed. The young boy said, you don't know, and left. So Manggong Sunim took the stuff he had cleaned up, put it in the abbot's room, went back to his room, and just lay down on his sleeping place, looking up at the ceiling, thinking, where does the one return? Only don't know. He got this big question. 1 day passed, 2 days passed. He stayed in his room. He didn't come out. He wasn't eating anything. Finally, the abbot thinks, oh, he's thinking about some woman or has some thinking, so he called him. And he said, Manggong, what are you doing? Are you thinking about some woman? And Manggong said, no, no, no. And then he told the story of the young boy appearing. And he said, the young boy said, 10,000 dharmas return to one. And the abbot said, of course, they return to one. And he said, no, no. But then the young boy said, where does the one return? And the abbot said, I don't know. And Manggong said, yeah, but I have to know. I have to know. Then the abbot said, one more monk has become garbage. Another monk has become garbage. So there's an expression in Korean which is translated, garbage human being becomes monk. Garbage monk becomes a Zen student. Garbage Zen student becomes a Buddha. So this abbot said, another monk has become garbage. You need to go to a Zen center and practice Chamson or Zen. So Manggong Sim left Chanjangam and went to a temple in the same area. It's called Changgoksa. Changgoksa is nowadays it's also a Bhikkhuni temple, nun's temple. It's famous because it has a iron Buddha, a statue of an iron Buddha in the Dharma room. And at that time it was a Zen temple, and so they had Zen practice there. So Manggong Sim stayed there and practiced very hard. Only this question, where does the one return? Only don't know. After a while, he was sitting one day. In the Zen temple, it's not like this. This is beautiful, beautiful popdang, but Zen temple has no windows. Everything's a wall, paper wall, and no beautiful colors. It's just wallpaper. It's pretty much white. And there's nothing but a yellow floor and white walls. And the Zen monks just sit looking at the floor or facing the wall, and there's nothing. Just that. But one day Manggong Sim is sitting, looking at the floor, looking at the wall, and suddenly a hole opens up in the wall, and he sees outside. He sees the fields outside, some farmer plowing in the field, and he's like really surprised. Oh my gosh. Then he looks up at the ceiling, and he sees the sky. So he was so happy. And the next morning early, he went into the master's room and said, Master, Master, I understand. I got enlightenment. And the master says, what do you understand? I've penetrated the nature of all things. I can see right through the wall, see right through the ceiling. And the master said, is that the truth? And Manggong says, yeah, I have no hindrance. So the master picked up his stick and bam, hit him over the head. Manggong Sim was like shocked, and his eyes bulged out, and the ceiling came back, and the walls came back, and the master said, where's your truth now? So Manggong Sim bowed and said, I'm sorry. and Master said, "Do you understand your mistake?" Manggongsim said, "Yes." He said, "What kind of practice do you have?" "I'm keeping this 10,000 dharmas return to one. Where does the one return?" The Master said then, "Okay, you must understand this one. What is this one? What you experienced was only illusion. In Korean it's sekkyangge. That's an illusion, fantasy. So don't attach to anything that appears. Only keep this don't know mind." So Manggongsim was really, really happy and thankful to get this teaching again. Actually, this happens a lot to people who practice. We practice, and then something appears, we think we got it, then something else happens and we're back to zero. So in Korea there's an expression, 10 years practice returns to Amitabha Buddha. 10년 공부 Amitabha, Toro Amitabha. Yeah, 10년 공부 Toro Amitabha. So 10 years practice returns to Amitabha Buddha, which means to nothing. Actually, that's a wonderful word. Returns to nothing. We have to always start again. So Manggongsim started again. That's great. Then for 3 years, he just practiced really, really hard. And one day, he was doing the morning bell chant, which is a sutra actually, sutra and chanting with the bell. And the sutra is the Avatamsaka Sutra or Hwaumgyang. And one line is, if you wish to understand all the Buddhas of the past, present, and future, then you must understand that the whole universe is created by mind alone. That's famous. Whole universe is created by mind alone. And he's chanting that, and then he hits the bell, dong, and poof, he got enlightenment. And he was so happy. He got up, went right over and kicked the monk next to him. Kicked him. And the monk goes, "Are you crazy?" And then he realized, "Oh, did you get enlightenment?" So actually, Manggongsim became famous. And for 1 year, he just went around the countryside, going to every sutra temple, Zen temple, and hitting monks, kicking them, and he became famous. Everybody knew Manggongsim got enlightenment. So he had this question, where does the one return? 10,000 dharmas return to one. Where does the one return? This is really important, actually. Where does the one return? We take everything for granted in our life. Food, clothes, house, energy. Where do they come from? Where do they come from? For example, today, all of us. Did anybody walk here from your house? Did anybody walk here? No, probably everybody took a car or a bus and came here. Or maybe a longer way, you took a train, or like me, you took an airplane. So we all came here using gas or diesel or some kind of petroleum product. Nowadays, our life is completely dependent on fossil fuels, petroleum products. Actually, 100 years ago when these stories took place, Manggongsim, Kyungho-snim, that time, everybody walked. The only form of transportation was the number 11 car, shipilhocha, which is two legs, walking somewhere. Maybe a horse if you're lucky, but a horse also is the same thing. Everybody walked. In 100 years, our whole human life has changed completely. Now, instead of walking, we ride a car, take a bus, take a train, take an airplane, which is all borrowing energy from basically oil. It all comes from oil. Oil comes from plants from a long time ago, which grew from the sun. So actually all of our energy comes from the sun. But for the last 150 years or so, we have been borrowing ancient energy that was made by the sun long ago. And if you look at a graph of human population growth and the use of fossil fuels is almost the same thing. From about 1850, the human population exploded from less than 1 billion people to now over almost 7 billion people today. And the amount of fossil fuel we use went from almost zero to a huge amount today. Actually, our life is completely dependent on oil and fossil fuel. When I lived in Korea 20 years ago, Korean people mostly used yantan, or coal, which is also fossil fuel. But there's a lot of coal in Korea. It's very dirty. People don't like it. It makes a lot of pollution. So nowadays, no more coal is used in Korea, not too much, and it all comes from some other place far away and imported to Korea. Same as America. America has some oil also, but it imports a lot of oil. And it's interesting because our life is so dependent on oil. If this oil suddenly stops, no more oil comes into Korea, maybe soon there'd be a big coal industry again in Korea. But I know in America, life as we know it would grind to a halt if we didn't have oil. We couldn't grow food because we can't pump water. We can't transport the food. People would start starving and they'd start fighting each other for food. Society would break down without any oil. So anyways, back to our story. Muryang was practicing very hard and got enlightenment and was very famous in Korea for going around kicking everybody and hitting everybody and asking some question. Where does the one return? Or what is Buddha? And everybody was surprised. So about a year passed and he went to a big ceremony. This was also at Donghaksa, I think Donghaksa again. And his teacher was there, Sunim. And Muryang said, yeah, I got enlightenment. Also my teacher got enlightenment. We are same, but because he's my teacher, I'll go bow to him. So he went in and bowed to Sunim. And Sunim said, oh, I heard you got something. Kind of subtly. And Muryang said, yeah, something appeared. So then Muryang says, okay, Sunim says, okay, I have a question for you. And then he put down on the floor a fan, like one of these fans that you fan yourself with before air conditioning came along. Fan and a brush, a calligraphy brush. He said, the fan and the brush, are they the same or different? And Muryang said, the fan is the brush and the brush is the fan. Just like before, I said mountain is water, water is mountain, which is form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Everything's changing, changing, changing. But beneath this change, everything has the same substance. So if we don't attach the name and form, everything's the same. Muryang got this point. That was the enlightenment he got. This point, everything's the same. But we say he understood one, he didn't understand two. So Sunim very, very patiently tried to explain to him the next step. And Muryang was very stubborn and wasn't listening. So finally, Sunim said, okay, in the funeral ceremony it says, when monks do a funeral ceremony, they ring a bell and do this kind of chanting. And it says, one of the lines is, the statue has eyes and tears silently drip down. So Sunim said, what does this mean? And Muryang said, I don't know. So Sunim said, if you don't understand what that means, how can you say the brush is the fan and the fan is the brush? And Muryang said, oh, I'm very sorry. Please teach me. So Sunim said, okay. Then he gave him another kongan, which is famous Joju's Mu kongan. Buddha said, all beings have Buddha nature. In the sutras, all beings have Buddha nature, which means all beings can get enlightenment or wake up. But somebody asked famous Chinese Zen master Joju, does a dog have Buddha nature? also? Does a dog have Buddha nature? And Joju said, Mu, which means no. So Buddha said all beings have Buddha nature. Joju said, when asked, does a dog have Buddha nature? Mu, which means no. So there are many questions here. Which one is correct, Buddha or Joju? Also, what did Joju mean by Mu? So he asked Manggongsim, what does this Mu mean? And Manggongsim didn't know. So, okay, only keep that. What does this mean? Don't know. So again, Manggongsim is brought back to this don't know. That's really the greatest treasure that any teacher can give a student, is returning them to this not knowing. Socrates used to go around Athens saying, you must understand yourself, or know thyself. That made people very uncomfortable. Finally, they made him drink poison and killed him. People don't want to have some question. They want to have the answers. But before he died, anyways, he would often go around saying, know thyself. And one day, one of his students said to him, teacher, you always tell us to understand our true self. Do you understand your true self? And Socrates said, I don't know, but I understand this don't know. That's Socrates' famous don't know philosophy. That's also the same as Korean Zen Buddhism. What am I? Don't know. So anybody practicing Zen or Buddhism, or maybe even any other religion, I don't know because I haven't practiced other religions, but certainly with Zen practice, we always return to don't know. So anything appears in our minds, thinking or some kind of illusion or fantasy or anything, we see it and then let it go and return to don't know. What is this? Don't know. That's a really great treasure of Korean Buddhism. People think, oh, nothing much to that, but that's wonderful. Try that. So Manggongsim did, actually. And he went back to the Zen center and practiced again another 3 years, very strongly. And finally, he wrote a letter to his teacher, Kyungho Sunim, and said, thank you very much, now I understand. Kimchi is salty, sugar is sweet. So after that, he got transmission from Kyungho Sunim and became a great Zen master himself. Kimchi is salty, sugar is sweet. Everything just like it is. Before I said mountain is mountain, water is water. Things are just like they are. Kimchi is salty, sugar is sweet. Very simple. Why did it take him so many years of hard practice to figure that out? Anyways, we can try. So he became a great Zen master and went to Sudoksa, which is towards the west coast from here, and built up this temple, Sudoksa. Actually, his teacher, Kyungho Sunim, kind of retired and went to some faraway place and just taught young kids writing, Chinese characters, Hanmun, and lived a very simple life. One day, Manggongsim was already a very famous Zen master, and he wanted to go pay his respects to Kyungho Sunim. So he told everybody at the temple he'd be away for a few days, put on his backpack, and went off to find Kyungho Sunim. And finally he got there and took out from his back, he bowed very deeply to Kyungho Sunim, and then he opened his backpack up and took out a bottle of wine, or a bottle of some kind of alcohol, and some dried fish. And he said to his teacher, nowadays, when somebody brings wine, I drink wine. If somebody brings fish, I eat fish. Which means he has no hindrance. Anything is okay. Anything coming is okay, going is okay. That's really high class, and actually Sudoksa has become famous among Korean Buddhist temples for this kind of no hindrance style mind. So Manggongsim got that mind and was sharing it with his teacher. And his teacher said, you are a very good student. but I cannot do that. Manggong Snim was surprised. Why, you are my teacher. Why can't you do that? Meaning, don't you have the same kind of mind, no hindrance mind that I do? And Kyungho Sim said, okay, I want garlic. I like garlic. Actually, monks traditionally don't eat garlic. They don't eat garlic, onions, shallots, scallions, things, 5 things of the onion family, which kind of, in long time ago in India, kind of made more thinking for people. Too much energy. But Kyungho Sim said, I like a garlic. So I go and buy 1 bulb of garlic, then I break it all up, and each clove I plant in the ground. Then those cloves grow into a bulb of garlic, and then I pick those. And then I take those apart and plant again each clove of each bulb. And then those grow into bulbs of garlic, and then I have a lot of garlic. And I pull it all up, keep some, and then take the rest and go into town and give out garlic to everybody. Then Manggong Sim understood, okay. Not for me, that's for all beings. So wine coming, drink wine, fish coming, eat fish, yeah, that's okay, no hindrance, but only for me. How help all beings? So Kyungho Sim said, I like garlic, so I make a whole bunch of garlic, then give to all beings. So Manggong Sim thanked him very much and got this mind. And that mind he has transmitted down through his students and his students. Anyways, there's many, many generations of Zen practitioners, Buddhists, monks, nuns, and lay people who have gotten this mind from Kyungho Snim and Manggong Snim. So I wanted to share that with you today. Anyways, how are we going to live in this world? I think we need to change the way we do things. Any kind of being, from the smallest bug or single-celled animal or plant, all the way up to big whale or big elephant or human beings or beings at the top of the food chain, always will eat as much as they can. We will try to consume. We're all consumers. We try to consume as much as we can. That's kind of just the law of survival. Eat as much as we can now. Later on, we don't know if there's going to be enough. So we eat. And that's okay when everything's in balance. But we got out of balance because too many human beings are living in this world. And if we all keep consuming the way we have been doing, soon there's going to be no more food, no more water, no more oil. When I was growing up on the East Coast, there was an outbreak of gypsy moths. Gypsy moths are some kind of a caterpillar, and they come down from the trees on a little string, and then they go to other trees and eat the leaves. They eat all the leaves on the trees. And in 1 year, all the trees lost their leaves because there were so many caterpillars. And the scientists said, next year, if we get the same thing and the trees lose their leaves again, the trees will all die. All the trees will die. So everybody was very afraid. Oh, what's going to happen? And then next year came, there were no more caterpillars, no more gypsy moths. They ate all the food the last year and they all died. They all died because there was no more food. So nature has a way of putting things in balance. By itself, things come into balance. I'm afraid nature will find a way to balance human beings' overpopulation. Before that happens, we need to wake up. We need to change our way of living. So it's not easy. There's no easy solution, but we need to reduce and share. And that's a really, really big job in the whole world. It's a big job. But it starts with us. Each of us starts. We can start doing that. We can look at our life, and then we can act on that. Understanding this is very easy. We can read any book and pick up any magazine, and we can realize, yeah, that's correct. But doing it, that's the point. How do we do it? We need to get some energy and confidence. So we need to look inside. We need to practice, do some practice. So there's many kinds of practice, yoga practice, or Christian practice, or Muslim practice, Buddhist practice, any kind of practice which allows us to look inside, which gives us a little space from our daily life and all the thinking habits that we've built up is wonderful. Try something. Probably all of you have some connection, deep or short time or long time, to Buddhism. So if you're connected to Buddhism already, try some Buddhist practice. Find some place, Jagwangsa here, it's very good, and practice meditation, chanting. Something to cut thinking. Then look inside, then get energy, and then we can change. One person by one person by one person, we can change. Actually, this world can support twice as many human beings as now. 3 times it can, but we have to share. We have to live together and act together and not hold on to my situation. My teacher often talked about a lifeboat in the ocean. Maybe there's 2 people in one lifeboat. There's only enough food for one person to make it to shore. So what do? Easy. Split the food in half, both eat, together die. That's very easy. That's our situation. Anyways. So I really want to thank you all for coming here today and listening to me and giving me the opportunity to come here and speak. And I hope we all continue to find truth and what it means to be human and living in this world, and find some way and share it with other people. So, as my teacher always said, I hope you only go straight, don't know. Try for 10,000 years non-stop. Thank you very much.